All right, buongiorno, top of the morning, grand rising, mob spotlight. A little business before I attend my business. Let's get right down to it. Of course, today's video is sponsored by Justice Tech Pros. Please go check out their website, subscribe to their channel. You will learn something. And good morning to Dominic and the whole team over there. Salute to Team Ruckus. Wipe your feet on the rug. A little wake and bake episode. Let's go, mob spotlight. Don't mess with Antonino Accardo. Originally written for Mob Candy magazine by David Amoruso. It was 1951. The Italian-American mafia known as La Cosa Nostra was doing great. Throughout the United States, the mob held sway. From the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, and everything in between was controlled by 20-some mob families. But not all families were equal. The 5 New York families and the Chicago family, known as the Outfit, held the most power. But where the 5 New York families had to compete for criminal talent and fight over territory, Chicago had no such problems. Well, there were some problems. During the days of Al Capone, there was some competition, but they were dealt with in violent fashion. And by the 1940s, the Capone Mob controlled Chicago. By the late 1940s, the Capone Mob was called the Outfit and was run by Antonino JoeBatters Accardo. That's the picture you see on the screen. He had acquired his nickname during his days as an enforcer for Al Capone. Accardo had smashed the skulls of 2 men with a baseball bat, an act that impressed his superiors. Capone allegedly said, "The boy's a real JoeBatters." Accardo would turn out to be a much sharper boss than the man who made him a member at the age 20. One reporter wrote, Accardo had more brains for breakfast than Al Capone ever had all day. He ran a tight ship. Under his leadership, the outfit forbade its members to deal drugs. And unlike in other cities, the rule was enforced. Several drug dealers turned up dead, sending a clear message to others looking to make a quick buck. Accardo didn't need the money the drugs provided. He had enough. Matter of fact, in 1951, he had just bought his dream house. The Accardo family had for years lived in a modest ranch house at 1431 Ashland Avenue in the Chicago suburb of River Forest. The house did not attract any attention, which was a good thing, but at some point, Accardo must have asked himself why he didn't enjoy his hard-earned millions. What's the use of risking your life when you can't enjoy the wealth that comes with it? And so he bought a 22-room mansion at 915 Franklin Avenue for $125,000. The house was built by a millionaire manufacturer in 1930 for $500,000. Needless to say, Accardo bought the house for a very nice price. The house included high-vaulted rooms, an indoor pool, a gun and trophy room, a pipe organ, a walk-in safe, wood spiral staircase, carriage, and guest houses on the backyard half-acre. It was surrounded by a 7-foot-high wrought iron fence and 2 electrically controlled gates. After moving in, Accardo added a $10,000 black onyx bathtub and an indoor 2-lane bowling alley. He had the plumbing refitted with gold fixtures and added a massive barbecue pit to the backyard. For the outfit leader, the house was a way of showing Chicago he was the top dog and he had the wealth to prove it. By the late 1970s, he had stepped back, letting others do the work and take the heat, but he was still available for advice. By all accounts, he was still the most powerful mobster in Chicago and thus a good man to have as a friend. Harvey Levinson was one of those men who could call Antonino Accardo a friend. Levinson had a successful jewelry store on North Clark Street. When he went to work one morning, he found his store in a mess. He had been robbed over $1 million in jewelry. He called 911 straight away. When the cops arrived, they told Levinson that the thieves had done a superb job, leaving no traces, but they would do their best in finding them. Of course, didn't sound reassuring to Levinson. He knew he wouldn't get his jewelry back even if the burglars were caught. So he decided to call his friend JoeBatters. Levinson explained this problem to Accardo, who told him not to worry. A call was made to Las Vegas where the outfit's Anthony Spilotro protected the mob's casino skimming operations. Spilotro had been a burglar and knew the Chicago scene. He was asked if he knew who could have pulled off such a heist. Spilotro knew just the man and pointed them to John Mandel. Shortly thereafter, the entire loot was returned to Levinson. In January of 1978, Accardo and his wife Clarice went to their condo in Indian Wells to enjoy the sun, entrusting their house to a longtime friend Michael Volpe. but their holiday would be short-lived. On January 9th, they received a call from Volpe, who told them that someone had broken into their home. Nothing had been stolen, but the house had been ransacked. The burglary was a personal insult to Accardo, no doubt about it. Someone was mocking him, and didn't take long for Accardo to find out which burglars might have an issue with him. The thing is, Accardo wasn't the type of guy you made fun of, and the burglars would find out very soon. Las Vegas enforcer Anthony Spilotro was called back to Chicago to oversee the piece of business. On January 20th, police found the body of Bernie Ryan. His throat had been slashed from ear to ear, and he had been shot 4 times. Ryan was a known burglar, and when police discovered his body, he had a police scanner on him, which is used by a lot of burglars to monitor police activity. Then a known associate of Ryan was found dead. Steven Garcia's throat had been slashed from ear to ear, but instead of being shot, Garcia had multiple stab wounds. The next to turn up dead was Vincent Moretti and Donald Swanson. Moretti had been badly tortured, presumably because he was Italian and was suspected to know better than break into the home of the boss. Moretti had been castrated, disemboweled, and his face had been burned off. And he and Swanson also had their throats slashed. On February 20th, police discovered the body of John Mandel, the man who could defeat most burglar alarms and who was believed to be the mastermind behind the burglary, had also been tortured before his throat had been slashed. It seemed as if the group of burglars who were responsible for the grave insult had all been dealt with, but Accardo wasn't finished. John McDonald was found on April 14th, his throat slashed, and he was shot in the head and neck. On April 26th, Bobby Hertogs was found with his throat cut and his body riddled with bullet holes. Hertog was the final member of the crew of burglars who could have been or were involved in the burglary of Accardo's home, but the bodies kept dropping. In September of 1978, a federal grand jury held hearings regarding this situation. Accardo was called to testify, but he took the fifth and revealed nothing. Then Michael Volpe, the man responsible for watching the house, was called to testify. He spent a lot of time before the grand jury, too much time. On October 5th, his family reported him missing, and he hasn't been seen since. The heat on Accardo intensified after the FBI searched his house and found $275,000 with some money bundles wrapped in bank wrappers from the Valley Bank in Las Vegas. Accardo must have been worried. He had to eliminate 2 more men who could tie him to the killings of the burglars. In 1979, 2 Chicago outfit mobsters were murdered. John Borsellino and Jerry Cariciello. Had taken care of the burglars and now themselves had been taken care of. No more ties to Accardo. The $275,000 seized in the raid on Accardo's home was later returned to him. He never did any jail time in connection to these killings. Interestingly, he never spent a night in jail in his entire life. That's a boss right there. He died of heart failure at Chicago's St. Mary of Nazareth Hospital on May 27, 1992, at the age of 86. So first of all, I want to salute to my man Melquin. Melquin, I know you asked for this article, and lo and behold, Shatter had already sent it to me. So again, salute to Shatter. I told you, I have a whole list to work off of. It's no more, I don't got nothing. No, we are going to start flooding this site with spotlights, stories, Drangheta news. And I told you guys, eventually, when me and Shattered have the time, because we're not going anywhere, we are going to give you a chronological order of the mafia, depending on where we are geographically. A chronological, geographical story about the beginning of this, where it went, how it spread, and where it is today. That's the aim. I already told Shattered, I go, if we can do this, if we can pull this off and put up enough videos where we tell a story from beginning to end, I think that would be amazing. All right, so everybody have a great morning. Salute. We will talk soon. Mob Story Season 2. You already know the team. Salute to Team Ruckus. And everybody have a great day. We will talk soon. Wipe your feet on the rug. Still got that chocolo. Salute.